Apu is the type of guy who can turn the often quiet home of Homer into a family of jolly good fellas. I mean, even the pessimistic Homer couldn't help but mood swing into the mini concerto that Apu so freely organized.
Who needs a Kwik-E-Mart?
Not me.
Forget the Kwik-E-Mart.
This Apu character seems like the only Springfield resident who isn't weighed down by the town's heavy clouds. Perhaps it's because he's an Indian expatriate, trying so hard to eke out a living after failing the citizenship test more times than he can count. But did he finally succeed? Welcome. Now let's find out, as well as more about the eccentric Simpsons character in the complete timeline of Apu Nahasapeemapetilon. Before moving to America, Apu was born and nurtured in India by his Brahmana family. Apu grew up along with his parents and two younger brothers. However, only one of Apu's brothers, Sanjay, who frequently collaborated with Apu in the Kwik-E-Mart, is seen by viewers in this series. Apu's academic life is a bit of a jumble. He bluffed his way into MIT with some crafty card game cash, but let's just say his academic adventure was short-lived. More on that later. The foundation for Apu's future romantic life was laid when his parents arranged for him and their friend's third daughter to get married. Later on, young Apu started studying under the well-known Indian yoga instructor Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He also became a vegan at this period, met Linda and Paul McCartney, and, in his own words, established himself as the fifth Beatle. Apu was incredibly intelligent. At the Calcutta Technical Institute, where there were 7 million pupils, he was the sharpest student and performed exceptionally well. Because of his extraordinary talent, he was given the opportunity to pursue graduate studies in the U.S. Apu studied under Professor Frank at the Springfield Heights Institute of Technology after moving to his ideal nation, America. He eventually received his Ph.D. in computer science after 9 years of hard work, which enabled him to write the first tic-tac-toe software ever, a program that Bart went on to wreck. Apu got a job at the Springfield convenience shop Kwik-E-Mart in order to pay off his college loan. When Apu's visa expired, everything started to go wrong. Apu persisted in his commitment to his work and his goal of achieving a better life in America, even though he was an illegal alien. One may claim that Apu chose to remain in this position since leaving would raise questions regarding his citizenship. Still, this event paved the way for his eventual naturalization as a U.S. citizen. Apu was a dedicated worker who put a lot of effort into his career, but he also made time on occasion to socialize with his brother Sanjay or go on a global tour with his band, the B Sharps, in the early to mid-1980s. With their smash song Baby on Board, the B Sharps, Homer, Skinner, Gumbel, and Apu became well-known and shot to fame. Because of their popularity, the band was able to release their second album, provocatively named Bigger Than Jesus, but Apu was getting a lot of attention because of his growing notoriety. And it was a huge problem. He was therefore forced to hide his genuine ancestry from the media on the advice of Nigel, their manager. Eventually, the band disbanded, and Apu went back to work at the Kwik-E-Mart. Nevertheless, Apu's love of music never wavered. Apu was inspired to follow his musical dreams after meeting well-known performers like Paul McCartney and performing with Barney Gumble. Apu started a new garage band called Covercraft with Homer. His remarkable vocal abilities eventually won him a position in the glam rock group Sungazer during the 1980s, although the contract there was a little complicated. Apu quickly brought Covercraft back, delighting audiences in stadiums that were completely booked. Originally, Apu had arrived in America with the sole aim of pursuing his American dream. However, his journey took an unexpected turn when a bear wandered into town, causing fear and panic. This subsequently led to the creation of the Special Bear Patrol, as well as a $5 tax increase. Of course, it made the public fume, and they started another riot to cancel this extortionary tax. In an attempt to appease the mob, Mayor Quimby shifted the blame to illegal immigrants. The Springfield government then initiated the referendum called Proposition 24 to kick out all immigrants from the city. Apu, like a typical character in Shakespeare's play, may have thought to himself, to leave or not to leave? Facing the threat of being deported, Apu reluctantly turned to a less-than-legal means to secure his place in Springfield. With $2,000, he acquired a fake birth certificate from the Springfield Mafia, which listed his parents as American citizens Herb and Judy Nahasapeemapetilon from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Even with this desperate measure, Apu's new life still failed to provide him with the happiness he yearned for. When he realized he was forsaking his true origin and heritage, Apu abandoned this plan and applied for a citizenship test, which he successfully managed to pass with the help from Lisa and Homer Simpson. That's how Apu officially became an Indian American citizen when the next city legislation was adopted.
Jury duty. Oh, today I am truly an American citizen. Whew.
Once referring to Homer when the latter was fired from the mart, Apu said, "He slept, he stole, he was rude to the customers. Still, there goes the best damned employee a convenience store ever had." And Apu was still the hardest worker in Springfield. Even though his employment put him in continual danger, such as getting robbed frequently, he loved it so much. Apu acknowledged that he had been shot 8 times in a single year. He once had to duck under a gunshot to save a co-worker at Kwik-E-Mart. Despite his luck in surviving, Apu continued to work 7 hard days a week and replenish expiring food supplies. He was occasionally seen altering the dates on expired products like milk cartons and 5-year-old ham. Although this unfortunate misdemeanor wasn't against Kwik-E-Mart rules, they would not tolerate being discovered, so Apu would have to suffer the consequences alone. Probably that's why he would lose the job later on. We also get to see that the smooth, cranky Apu is a man of few words with big ears, and he's got a thing for making furniture that's a hit with the ladies. He also still manages to be a bit of a sales wizard, convincing folks to buy all sorts of unnecessary stuff at sky-high prices. Of course, with a sneaky smile. After Apu was discovered to be peddling a fallen crusty wiener, he briefly moved in with the Simpson family. Apu tried not to admit it, but he missed the Kwik-E-Mart. He and Homer went to the Himalayas to view the earliest convenience store in history and possibly locate the CEO of Kwik-E-Mart in order for him to get his job back. When the CEO finally arrived and permitted only 3 questions, Homer, in his usual way, ruined the whole affair.
You really the head of the Kwik-E-Mart?
Yes,
Really?
yes,
You?
yes.
Eventually, Apu was hired again when he saved James Wood's life, a Kwik-E-Mart employee. Apart from the Kwik-E-Mart, Apu was involved in other activities such as running a seasonal Halloween pop-up shop and bowling with his friends, the Pin Pals, including Homer, Moe, and Otto. He was so skilled that he was also invited to join the Stereotype bowling team. Apu's been known to get a little wild, like turning his store into a birthday suit paradise or getting merry and shouting for a strip down. He once tried to shoot a customer from the store's rooftop. Apu's affection for his convenience store went beyond work. It was the love of his life, until he met Manjula. Apu found himself at the crossroads of tradition and desire when his mother insisted it was time for him to find a bride. But why settle down when he had a plethora of ladies flocking around him? As an educated bachelor, managing a business of his own, Apu attracted so many Springfield ladies. 5 desperate chicks even paid $926 just to go on a date with him. The arrival of his mom's letter disrupted the modern Prince Charming lifestyle he so much preferred. Deeply worried, Apu sought the advice from his friend Homer. These two made up a harebrained scheme to convince Apu's mother that he was already married with 3 children. Now their plan backfired when his mother caught Marge, Apu's pretend wife, with Homer in bed together. Preparations for his real wedding then commenced in earnest. Even though Apu did not initially agree with his mother's plan, he fell in love with Manjula the moment he laid eyes on her on their wedding day. So the couple decided to try their hand at love after realizing that they had a lot in common. Divorce is always a possibility after all. Now married to Manjula, Apu showed her how much he loved her by becoming a dedicated spouse and surprising her with wonderful gifts, like getting Elton John to sing for her. He even went as far as wrapping himself up in chocolate during a fun time out. Apu and Manjula's journey to parenthood was quite rocky at first. They had some trouble conceiving. Their friends, Homer and Marge, tried to help Apu and Manjula conceive by slipping Manjula fertility drugs. Soon, Manjula conceived, and she birthed not 1, not 2, but 8 babies. Octuplets. At first, the couple received support from sponsors, but when another woman in Shelbyville had 9 babies, they lost all assistance. With the rising diaper bills, daily exhaustion, and intense stress, the couple contemplated giving their babies up to Mr. Larry Kidkill, the owner of Springfield Zoo. They soon realized their mistake, and with Homer's help, broke the kids out of the zoo. Apu's marriage faced a serious challenge when Homer caught him having an affair with a squishy lady, Annette, behind Manjula's back. This betrayal shook the foundation of their relationship. Although Apu would not admit it, Manjula later learned more about his infidelity after watching the store's security camera tapes, burning the bridge between them. Now, despite Homer and Marge's efforts to reconcile them, Manjula insisted on a divorce. However, after meeting with an evil lawyer, she decided to give Apu another chance. But she made it clear that Apu needed to earn back her trust. To do this, he needed to complete a long list of tasks, like becoming a New York published author, changing his name to Slime Q Slime Dog, and performing My Fair Lady with an all-octuplet cast. Not much has changed in Springfield, especially during Apu's later years. He still runs the Kwik-E-Mart and has to deal with an upgraded robotic snake jailbird. But this time with his octuplets who are ever ready to defend their store. Back at home, Apu thought he would finally get some peace and quiet with his 8 children, now grown and finally out of the house. But each of his octuplets had octuplets too. So Apu, ever the busy grandpa, had to look after 64 grandchildren. Now, we don't know how Apu dies, but his head will find its way into the Head Museum in the year 3000. According to the Simpsons wiki, you can see his head in a jar over a few episodes of Futurama. But I'm not sure that's him personally. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let us know your theories on how he may have died. But for now, that completes the entire timeline of Apu. And in the words of the esteemed Kwik-E-Mart worker, thank you, come again.